What's up, everybody? Before we get started here, I just wanted to say thank you for listening to this. This is our first attempt at a podcast, and we had a lot of fun doing it. We got off to kind of a rough start, but I think we found our stride pretty quick, and I really hope you enjoy it. In this episode, we covered primarily Captain Mar-Vell, but we were kind of all over the place. There were times when we got way into the weeds. We talked about DC, we talked about Mar-Vell, we talked about Star Wars and John Wick and Alita Battle Angel. We hit all sorts of stuff. But like I said, we do primarily focus on Captain Mar-Vell, and we come back to it as often as we can. So thanks again for listening. We appreciate it, and we really hope you enjoy this first episode of Roommates Review. Now that this is officially underway, welcome anyone that'll ever have the misfortune of listening to this. This is our first episode of our Roommates Review podcast, where we're going to talk about Captain Mar-Vell. So essentially, we three were roommates back in college, and we would talk about movies and stuff all the time. And I thought, you know what, it'd be fun to get with you guys and talk, hopefully fairly regularly, about movies. So I guess that's it. I am Austin, and yeah, that's my name, and this is going very well. Yeah, so I'm Austin, and I like to party.
I'm Scott, and I also like to party, I guess, then, if we're doing Hot Rod.
Austin, I know for a fact you don't party. My name's Noah, and I like to party.
Okay.
Also, for the record, is this a podcast solely about Captain Mar-Vell, or is this episode about Captain Mar-Vell? Because the way you described it made me think that we're doing all of our episodes about Captain Mar-Vell.
Oh, I thought we
I'm
agreed that we do all our episodes about Captain Mar-Vell.
Yeah, okay. Just that movie.
Yeah.
Opinions every time.
No, this will be about all sorts of other things, including Captain Mar-Vell, and other such movies. You know, since the summer's coming up, we've got John Wick 3 coming out. We've got Avengers Endgame. Shazam came out recently, so I'd like to do all of those.
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man. Have you guys heard the rumor that the theory that Spider-Man movie's fake and they've only filmed the trailer and
No.
Spider-Man's gonna stay dead?
No, I haven't.
That's such a lie.
Yeah.
There's no way in the world. They finally get a good Spider-Man actor.
Yeah.
And then they just kill him off after one. That's pretty clutch.
Yeah, it's a fun little theory. But anyways, do we want to start out with like a summary of the movie, or I mean, it's been out so long. Anybody who's seen it is gonna know what it is. But
do you have a summary already written up that you want to do then?
I can go through a summary real quick.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so the movie starts off and we're introduced to a character named Veers. She's a soldier in the Kree Space Force and doesn't have any memory of her life before being a soldier. And she's told repeatedly to stop trying to remember it and let it go, as well as letting go of all her emotions. You find out that the Kree are at war with another alien race called the Skrulls, who can shapeshift and look like anyone they want to as long as they've seen them once. So Veers and her Space Force team are sent on a mission to recover a Kree spy. The mission breaks down because the spy is already dead, and Veers is captured, and the rest of the team escapes. The Skrulls hook Veers up to a machine that reads her memories, and they're looking for a specific person in her memory that worked on a Lightspeed drive. And they find the memory with the Lightspeed drive and a coordinate for the planet the memory is associated with, which is Earth. So Captain Mar-Vell breaks out, and she jumps into an escape pod and crash lands onto the planet below, which is Earth. They've gotten there already. So she crash lands into a blockbuster and meets up with young Nick Fury and Agent Coulson. She explains to them that she's part of the Kree Space Force and she's there to stop the Skrulls. And obviously they don't believe her until the Skrulls start shooting at them in broad daylight. So Captain Mar-Vell chases a Skrull onto a train, and Fury and Coulson follow in a car. Captain Mar-Vell lets her Skrull get away, but it turns out there was a Skrull impersonating Coulson, so Fury killed it by ramming his car into the train. Then some stuff happens, and Fury and Captain Mar-Vell team up. They go to a government facility and find the person behind the Lightspeed drive. At the facility, they find out that the person died in a crash while testing it, along with a single unnamed pilot. They also find the name of the last person to see both of them alive, so they go to her to see if she knows anything. Captain Mar-Vell there finds out that her real name is Carol Danvers, and she was an Air Force pilot, but she still can't remember any of it. Then the Skrulls show up with a CD containing the final moments recorded in the black box of the experimental aircraft they were flying, and the Skrulls mention that they aren't the bad guys and say that they should check out the CD. They listen to the CD, and it turns out the leader of the Kree Space Force team shot Captain Mar-Vell down during their experimental flight and killed the scientist that was in charge of it. That scientist, Mar-Vell, tried to destroy the engine before she died, but she wasn't able to, so Captain Mar-Vell did it, causing an explosion that she somehow absorbed and gave her powers. The bad guy decides to cut his losses and take Captain Mar-Vell back with him so she can join his team. So back in the present, Fury and Captain Mar-Vell team up with the Skrulls, who say that all they really wanted to do was get into Mar-Vell's laboratory. They realize it's in orbit and head out to find it, and when they get there, they find two things. First, other Skrulls that Mar-Vell was apparently harboring there, because it turns out the Skrulls are actually just refugees, and the Kree are the bad guys. They also find the Tesseract, which was apparently what was powering the Lightspeed engine tech, and is what the Kree are really after. So the Kree show up and board the ship. They fight. Captain Mar-Vell unlocks her latent powers, turns into a Super Saiyan, and wins without breaking a sweat. Ronan the Accuser makes an appearance and says he'll go back to get Captain Mar-Vell another time, but he dies in Guardians of the Galaxy, so I'm not sure that he kept that promise. Nick Fury obtains the Tesseract and it's now with S.H.I.E.L.D. He also gets scratched in the face by a cat alien and loses his eye. Captain Mar-Vell gives Fury an updated pager that allows him to contact her in case of an emergency. It's the pager from the end of Infinity War. And you can see Nick Fury typing a proposal for the Avengers Initiative, getting the idea of Avenger from a plane that Carol Danvers flew. And Captain Mar-Vell decides to take the refugee Skrulls to find a new home and blasts off into space with them. The end.
Nice.
Right?
That was a movie. Yeah.
Woo!
Anything I missed? Anything important that you guys thought was, should be covered?
No. I think that was a pretty good overall.
Yeah, that was pretty good, I think.
Okay.
Pretty much everything that happened.
Summary, which is what a summary is.
It summed well.
Okay.
So, I guess, what would you guys have rated the movie from 1 to 10? And this obviously, after we talk about it, we can change them. We can change our answers at the end. But based on, coming into this, what did you guys rate that movie?
I would say going into the film, watching it, not seeing it again, or really reading anything about it, I'd have to say, like, are we doing a 100-point scale? Or are we doing a 10-point? What do you guys want to?
Let's just do out of 10, and you can have as many decimal places as you want, I guess.
Wonderful. I'd say like a 7.5 out of 10. Because, like, I don't know. I think there was enough enjoyable content to be worth seeing. I just thought it was kind of bland overall. I don't know. Like, I actually really liked. I liked Brie Larson, but I just felt like, and this isn't necessarily her fault, I feel like the writing for her was really, really, really bland. She had not a lot of personality. She wasn't all that interesting to me. So that was kind of why I didn't find it to be 8-point worthy.
Okay. I probably would have given it, after watching it, probably like a 7. Just because for some of the same reasons. I enjoyed watching it, but at the same time, it wasn't. It felt to me very much like here's this quick exposition of this character because we're bringing them into Infinity War, which is like, so it was just a little bit off. I don't know. So it was a fine movie. I enjoyed watching it. It wasn't. Especially with I think it kind of came at the back end of a long string of really strong movies as well in the universe. So that might be might be hindering my opinion of it a little bit. Because it came, on the heels of Infinity War and Black Panther and all those movies.
Thor Ragnarok,
which were all really good. So I don't know if that's kind of colored my perception a little bit, but I probably would have given it like a 7, I think.
Okay. You guys were a lot more generous than I was in my. I was going to give it a 5. And I think I'm going to stick with that. My issues with it were probably the same as your guys's. I mean, it feels like she's just kind of shoehorned in there as this character who we're going to have in Infinity War and in Endgame, and who's going to play this big part. And she's just kind of there, and we need to get this movie out to introduce her. But also some of the stuff that it does to the cinematic universe overall just kind of didn't sit well with me. The fact that Nick Fury is introduced to all of these aliens with all of this tech, and they don't really start doing anything about it until, because in the first Avengers movie, Nick Fury says to Thor that when they met Thor, that they realized that they were hilariously and hopelessly outgunned, and he should have realized that
part.
Right. But he should have realized that 20 years ago, essentially.
Right,
sure. And so that kind of stuff, and that's just a writing and connecting to the universe kind of problem. So I don't know that solely falls on Captain Marvel's shoulders, but
I think that's probably just because of they made this movie almost 10 years after Avengers, or 8 years. I don't know, when did the first Avengers come out? But
2012.
It's been so long. I think there's probably a decent number of those things that are a little bit off, continuity wise. I think overall it holds up in the main parts of it, but yeah, there's some things like that I'm sure that are, when you go back and watch, like if you watched them in chronological order, it would probably be more apparent. But
yeah.
Well, and there is something to be said for if he's had this pager for Captain Marvel all of this time. I find it kind of hard to believe, like when Loki's invading here, that he's not like, oh.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That was another issue that I had, was the fact that she's like, if there's ever an emergency, page me. And I guess we assume that he hasn't paged her before now. I mean, he could have.
Oh, so
during
things
the
that happen
invasion
on
of New
screen,
York,
right?
Yeah,
right.
But I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. It adds some weird stuff that you go, well, then what about this? And that bothered me. And also, I didn't really like Brie Larson that much as Captain Marvel. I didn't think, I don't know. They made her kind of seem like the new Iron Man character. Like she was supposed to be really smart and kind of witty, and she just didn't come off quite right to me. And I don't know why that is, but she just really didn't.
Well, and I think, honestly, I do think a lot of it has to do with what she was given. Because, like, I feel like this is the same conversation we used to have about Hayden Christensen in the prequel movies. Is Hayden Christensen a bad actor, or is George Lucas a bad director and dialogue writer? Because, like, I haven't seen him in a lot of other things, but he was fine in Jumper. Like, there was never a moment where I thought, oh, this is not just the men, but the women and the children too line. That stuff was brutal. But if you watch Jumper, you don't get that feeling. So I'm curious to know if the blandness, if the lack of personality at all was an acting thing, or if that's just this was not written very well or directed very well.
Yeah, and I think we'll kind of have an answer to that after Endgame comes out, because I think the Russo brothers, the guys that directed Infinity War and are going to direct Endgame, I think they're really good, and if they get something really good out of her, then that's a little different.
Yeah. Well, and there probably is something to be said for the fact that she was, there's a part of her personality that was missing at the very least, because she did have amnesia, right? Like, so she was an incomplete person. So I would accept that argument. I don't know.
I mean, combined with her amnesia for the majority of the movie, and then the fact that, I mean, not all of the first running movies for all the heroes have been great. Like, I mean, the first Thor was not good. Like, it was fine, but Thor was not really very good in that movie. So it could be the same kind of thing where, just a little bit more time in the character, and it could be better.
Well, especially in a movie, I was actually going to say I would put this right next to Thor 1 in terms of quality. Like, I will probably only watch Captain Marvel again when I'm watching the rest of the Marvel movies in sequence, which is how I felt about the first Thor, and honestly the second Thor movie.
Yeah.
With the exception of Ragnarok, I don't really care for the Thor movies.
I would agree with that.
But actually, if you think about it, Thor wasn't just not great. The first one, he's kind of just generally unlikable. He's a very frustrating character. But we're not here talking about Thor, so I'll stop that.
I mean, this can go wherever it wants to go. I mean, it doesn't. If you want to talk about Thor, you can talk about Thor, but
no, but we got to do the Last Jedi next.
Oh gosh, we'll be here forever.
How'd you guys feel about the origin of Nick Fury's eye?
I don't know. It's almost to me the same as when Luke throws the lightsaber over his shoulder.
Yes.
It's just kind of like, okay.
Speaking of the Last Jedi.
Yeah, I mean that's really what I related it to. It's kind of like we have this whole, not that him losing his eye is a big deal, but we've been expecting it to be something, crazy, and then it's just like in the post credits. I guess it wasn't in the post credits, but it was in right at the very end of the movie. And it's like, oh, he lost his eye. Okay, cool, I guess. Like almost like they didn't really want to put it in there, but then they just shoehorned it in at the end just because it was a prequel. Like, actually, what it was more like than the lightsaber thing was like, it was more like the Solo movie where they went out of their way to have every callback possible, whether or not it really was necessary. Like, it was like we got the origin of Han Solo's last name.
Yeah, that's exactly what I related to.
Which was so painful.
Yeah, it was when Han Solo got his last name. I was like, okay, this is the Solo moment. Just remember how stupid that was. Yeah, I was like, it's cool when it's like kind of mysterious, Right. Like, there's some things about characters that need to be explained, and that's fine. But there's a lot of stuff that doesn't. And Nick Fury's eye, to me, was one of those things that, it's a cool, mysterious thing. And there was one point in one of the movies when he talks about how the last time he trusted somebody, he
yes,
got his
eye. I was just gonna say that was in Winter Soldier. I'm pretty sure because I remember thinking, oh, this is. I thought it was related to Robert Redford's character, in Winter Soldier. Like I thought there was something that happened there, and so I was not expecting him to lose his eye in the movie. And I was actually
right.
Does he say something in Winter Soldier about it?
I thought so. I thought he was saying, I don't know. I have to watch that movie again for being my favorite Marvel movie. But I could have sworn he was talking to.
Yeah, he says it to Captain America or something. The last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
Yeah, see, and like lines like that make it cool and mysterious.
Yeah,
and then they throw in like a cat scratch.
I mean, I guess
it's because he trusted the cat.
Yeah, he trusted the cat, the alien cat.
How dare you trust a cat?
That you
so he should like hate cats now.
Yeah, that's right. There aren't any cats in the Marvel universe because Nick Fury's killed them all.
I don't know. Yeah. That was another thing that I was like, oh come on, like, what are you doing? And like it was the same with for me with how the name Avengers or whatever when he was typing it on his computer and he saw like the Carol Avenger Danvers or whatever. It's like, okay, we don't need like Avengers is a cool name. You don't need to like say that you got it from Carol Danvers, plane or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and so I felt like they tried to put, and I think you said it already, Austin, they really just put too much in there in an attempt to be like, oh, this happened before, so all the things that happen after are related to it. Like, I felt like that was an unnecessary. I thought the eye was unnecessary. I don't have a problem with her being the the reason why he makes the Avengers and not was it the Defenders? Was that what the original plan was? I
can't remember.
To be honest,
thought it was the Defenders because the Defenders is the New York stuff,
right?
Isn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, and so that's what I thought he wrote on the paper. And they
maybe
deletes it and types of it. I don't know. I've always thought the Avengers. I've always thought that name never made a whole lot of sense to me. And they tried to make it make sense in the first one, where Tony was like, "And you can be bleeping sure we'll avenge." But I don't know. That just felt like it felt unnecessary to me.
Well, and it's a little weird in the fact too that isn't the first Captain America movie is called The First Avenger, right?
Don't even go there. All right. Yep. Don't even get me started.
That's just a movie name, so it's not really, whatever. I don't think anyone in that movie calls him an Avenger, but
but he is the first Avenger.
Yeah,
okay?
so it is kind of
hear me
when you're trying to give them a reason to be called the Avengers when you had a movie that takes place before this prequel movie that's, called the first Avenger. But anyway.
And speaking of Captain America, as far as like the Tesseract goes at the end of Captain America, it melts through the bottom of the plane they're flying, right?
Yeah.
So it drops somewhere.
So
I always assumed that they found that when they found Captain America, and that's why they were starting to experiment on it in Avengers.
So I looked up, because I thought the same thing. So I looked up the timeline, and there's in the post credits of the first Avenger, Tony Stark's dad, whatever his name was, Howard finds the Tesseract, and so it was found before Captain America. I'm pretty sure is what.
Okay, so it would make sense that lady would have access to it if she worked for Shield. Okay,
because I thought the same thing.
Well,
because that was my issue. Because I was gonna say I thought Howard found it. I thought Shield already had it, so I didn't think. There was no reason in my mind why the Air Force should have any connection to it at all. Also, I once again, this is not it's not a sexist thing. I was really disappointed that Jude Law wasn't Mar-Vell. Like I thought that I did not know going into it that he wasn't Mar-Vell. Because the original Mar-Vell was a dude. I don't have a problem with it being a female. I just like Jude Law a lot. But I do think he'll be a good villain. I think going into the future, he's a phenomenal actor. But,
so speaking of Jude Law and them, what did you guys think of the twist, you call it a twist, that the Kree were the bad guys, the Skrulls were the good guys? Because I know, at least when we started watching the movie, we get at the very beginning, they take her before the Supreme Intelligence or whatever. Right. And I even told Jordan when they went there, I was like, Supreme Intelligence is kind of a really culty sounding name for your leader. Right. So I was, that's kind of weird. And then there at whatever point Ronan showed up, I was like, okay, he's the bad guy from Guardians, so that's suspicious. And then there was that other guy, I can't remember what his name was in this movie, but he's been in a ton
Jamon Hunsu.
Yeah, he was in
Shazam too.
Yeah, he was in Shazam. Oh, yeah. He was in Fast 7 Furious 7, 7 Fast 7 Furious, whatever it's actually called. I don't know. And I couldn't remember if he was a good guy in Guardians, but he's been a bad guy in a lot of stuff recently, and so I was suspicious of him. But
so I was gonna say, I mean, Scotty, I always forget what your comic book knowledge is. I don't know how into the comics you work. I mean, Austin and I both are, and so for me, Kree equals bad. I just don't. I think of the Kree as bad guys. Okay. Especially when you consider, like you said, Ronan is the Kree I think of, and he is a zealot. He is a wild, rogue Kree. But for one, you're right. That actor Jamon Hunsu is a bad guy in Guardians. He's the one that captures Peter at the beginning.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Star-Lord. Who? So that wasn't a surprise to me. The instant they brought in the Kree, I thought, okay, they're gonna be bad. I didn't love the Skrull twist, and that comes purely from a comic book standpoint. Because for all of us who are big comic book fans, the Skrull are like the epitome of bad guy alien race. The Super Skrull is one of the bigger bads in Marvel. I mean, he's one of the Fantastic Four's big villains. Okay. So I mean, Austin, what do you think?
I absolutely I agree with you. I mean, the Kree being bad, that's fine. But I absolutely hated the fact they made the Skrulls refugees, and so they're not really bad people. They're just misunderstood. They're just there trying to survive. That's well, first of all, that's stupid. But
right, of course.
From a comic book perspective, the Skrulls are such a cool set of characters, since they can shapeshift to look like anybody. Right.
The Skrull invasion in the comics is sweet.
Right. It's amazing. And that's so that when they first started coming out with Captain Marvel trailers and stuff, and you see her punch that old woman, I was like, dude, it's Skrulls. There's going to be a Skrull invasion, and that's going to tie into going forward. I mean, how cool would it have been at the end of like Avengers Endgame, if Tony Stark dies and then he like shapeshifts back into a Skrull.
Yeah.
Like
that's
you'd be
exactly
like,
what I was thinking.
whoa.
Yeah.
So, but with the way that they did it, now the Skrulls are good guys, and I get that they could still have like bad guy Skrulls, and that's fine. Or like maybe when Captain Marvel relocated those Skrulls, maybe there were some other bad Skrulls that broke off, and who knows?
Or maybe this sect of Skrulls are like are the only good ones. You know, the rest of them. I don't know.
Maybe, but just going off of what the movie has told us, you know, and not trying to do the writing for them. They're the good guys. Like they're not bad guys.
Right.
And so that just throws out like the whole idea of the Skrull invasion story arc. Like that could have been like a whole phase. Like of them, they could have done a whole phase based on that arc.
Yeah.
And now
I will say though,
it's gone.
I know a lot of Marvel fans who actually kind of hate the Skrulls because it was just like any time any character died in the comics, it's just like, oh, never mind, he was a Skrull. And when it turned out that Captain America wasn't a Skrull when they killed him, that was like a big shock. After it's Civil War, people thought, okay, he's definitely going to be a Skrull, and then he wasn't. But I know a few people who actually got really sick of the the whole he's actually a Skrull. That's how they got away with killing him.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I not knowing anything really about them in the comics, I thought that the Kree were going to be bad. I was suspicious of them, especially the way that they're like controlling, you know, Captain Marvel with that little like they're controlling and all this stuff. But I also kind of thought the Skrulls were also going to be bad. Like it was just going to be two bad people fighting each other with Earth as the battleground kind of thing. So I was surprised that they were like, good guys, help us, please. I don't know. That was interesting to me, but.
Well, and so like, it's interesting writing. And I think Austin and I would both feel that if they had chosen a different species, like any other species, we'd have been like, oh, that's kind of a cool twist.
Right.
You think they're bad, but they're not. But it would, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good comparison. I guess it'd be like if it turned out like the Empire in Star Wars they were actually the good guys and the rebels were terrorists.
Yeah.
You know?
They did try to do that at one point, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
No, I get what you're saying though. Yeah.
Or like the Joker is actually not a bad guy, and Batman is
misunderstood. Yeah.
Which they actually did do that in a comic, a white. You guys have you read that Batman White Knight?
No, I don't know.
Joker gets cured of his insanity, and like Batman doesn't trust him, and Batman kind of goes crazy, and so he becomes the villain, and he becomes hunted by the. It's weird. Like it's a really cool standalone, but it's weird.
I mean, to be fair, I probably wouldn't trust the Joker either. So
well,
I can see.
Yeah, it's weird. You guys should check it out and tell me if you like it.
I'll have to.
So speaking of our Batman podcast, I'm just
the Joker.
Yeah, right.
Ooh, that trailer looked really good.
I have mixed feelings about it. Like it looks like a phenomenal movie, but once again, as a comic book fan, I was like, I don't know. I kind of prefer the Killing Joke origin, just because I'm a DC fanboy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not so much on DC, so I don't.
Joaquin Phoenix looks amazing.
He looks like he was born to do that role.
He looks crazy.
He looks born to do every role. Like he goes above and beyond in like what he does for roles.
He really does.
I mean, he was great in Gladiator. So.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, also, you know that Jimon Hansu's in Gladiator?
Yep. My name's not Austin, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gladiator's like my dad's favorite movie, so I've seen that a lot. But you're right. Every role he does, he's completely. I mean, he gets into it and he's born for it and he's perfect for it. Like I've never seen Joaquin Phoenix and something been like, oh, that was a miscast. That was a bad choice. There was a rumor for a bit that he was going to be Doctor Strange, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, there was. I forgot about that.
And he would have been amazing. He would have been so good as Doctor Strange.
Do you rank Captain Marvel above or below Doctor Strange?
Below,
yeah.
Okay.
I actually really like Doctor Strange. I think I'm in the minority, where I would say it's probably in my top 10 of the was it 20 films, 21 films?
I'd have to think about it, but I'd probably agree with that. I like Benedict Cumberbatch a lot, so I'm kind of biased there.
Benedict Cumberbatch is awesome. The visual effects were insane. They were so good. I like the kaleidoscope effect of like the cities rolling, like Inception. But I think it gets a lot of flack because he kind of progresses really fast in that movie. And there isn't a whole lot of plot. But when you consider what they had to introduce him as a character, they had to introduce his backstory. They had to introduce the world of magic. They had to introduce the concept of Dormammu. Like there were so many things they had to introduce, and they did it in under 2 hours. And I think they did a really good job. And that is one thing I feel like we do have to give Captain Marvel a little bit of slack because there was a lot they had to introduce. Which is why I feel like nothing got fleshed out overly well.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, the last time we saw the Kree, they were, well, Ronan, he was super evil. So,
right.
I mean, with at least to a non-comic person, I think they did a good job of trying to make the Kree seem like good guys at the beginning. I was suspicious of them, but that was more from like meta reasons than like from the movie.
Yeah, and I mean, you do see like their day-to-day life. I mean, they ride like a subway, and there's like families on there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense that not all of them would be bad guys.
That's
I guess that kind of goes back to the Skrull thing too. I mean, I don't know. Okay, so now that we're back on Captain Marvel, do you guys think that she's overpowered? Like,
so I was going to say that is actually my biggest problem with the whole film. I felt like with Captain Marvel, we got a DC character in the Marvel universe, and with Shazam, I felt like we have a Marvel character in the DC universe. So it's kind of weird. No, I do think she's like watching her do the thing she did. It was sweet, but it's like she could take down Thanos by herself. Like she is obscenely powerful.
Yeah.
Like Thor, who is literally a god, looks so puny comparatively after watching what she did.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest problems too, because Kevin Feige has actually came out and said that she's the most powerful character in the MCU, and for him to just say that kind of bugs me, like, because we've had all of these movies building up all these other characters, and I get that they're not like the strongest people, but like that's why they need to team up and form the Avengers, so they can beat someone like Thanos who's way out of their league.
Right.
And Captain Marvel comes in, and by saying she's the most powerful character in the MCU, you're saying that she is more powerful than Thanos. So she doesn't even need the team.
Yeah.
Just beat him. So, and I mean, I'm sure that's not going to be that simple, obviously, in the movie, but like, she is very powerful. Like when she was just crashing through ships left and right and moving. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the movie, she flies away with the other ship at the speed of light.
Yeah.
Like a character that can move at the speed of light pulls like huge problems for like any fight that she's ever in.
Yeah. So I agree with that she's overpowered, but I also kind of thought in some ways she was underpowered, mostly when she was like, so it was, I mean, the end of the movie, Noah's right. It was like watching Superman. Like that's what Superman should be doing. Like just
what my dad said.
But when she was fighting all her like old war buddies or whatever, it seemed like her little light beams didn't really do anything. So like at the time she beat them really easily, but I also feel like, I don't know. So it was a weird balance to me, like where she wasn't killing any of them, but then she wiped out like all those ships.
Just like destroyed the ships. That's a good point.
Like, so that was kind of odd to me, like that they seemed to be keeping her, like she was not killing all her old friends, which maybe that's just because she didn't want to kill her old friends. And like she blasted Jude Law, and he lived, but then she was like flying through all these ships. So it was a weird dichotomy to me.
Was she still in Super Saiyan mode when she blasted Jude Law?
I don't think so. I think he had crash landed or whatever, and she just like walked up to him and then blasted him. So I don't think she was still like with her glowing mohawk. But I don't know what her Super Saiyan mode, if that is like really a thing or if she just glows because it's cooler.
I think
it is called Super Saiyan.
I think it's called binary or something. Binary mode. I tried to Google it and I got bored. So I just didn't care about this movie.
I don't know. My coworker knows I'm a big comic guy, and he was like, "So, can you compare the origin of Captain Marvel in the comics to the movie?" And I was like, honest to goodness, I can't, because I feel like Captain Marvel is such a convoluted character, because she wasn't, because there's Mar-Vell, right, and then Carol Danvers was Miss Marvel when I was growing up. It's like the same way they changed in DC Captain Marvel to Shazam.
Yeah,
and then it's just like, what, this is a completely different character. Like, this is I don't even know what the differences are between the Captain Marvel comics and the Captain Marvel origin.
Apparently they've rebooted Captain Marvel. Marvel has like 7 times in the past 10 years.
Is that why I'm very confused? Because
probably. I mean, because they've had Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. They have there's like a teenage girl who's Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, it's really weird. Like, just trying to even look up what's going on.
Well, in terms of her flying at the speed of light, that is probably due to her being like absorbing the Tesseract. That's the one she absorbed, right? Which is the space one.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that is probably problematic that she like has all the energy of the Tesseract. But I don't know that it'll be. I feel like they're gonna not have her moving at the speed of light to actually do anything.
So her power comes from the Tesseract. Is that right?
I think so. I mean, in the movie, it exploded.
Well, was it the Tesseract that actually exploded, or was it just some technology based on the Tesseract?
Yeah, it was the technology that was used, because the Tesseract was in it, I think, or no?
But if it was in it,
no, because it was in space, right? It was in with the Skrulls. So I think you're right, Austin. Okay. I think it's the ship was like created from the Tesseract energy. So the question is, can Thanos like have some control over her power since he controls the Tesseract?
That would be interesting,
because that's the only way I can think of her not just like demolishing him. Also, that's another issue with Thanos as a character. The Reality Stone. Like, I don't know why he isn't just constantly using the Reality Stone when fighting them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a different problem for a different movie, for a different episode. But I think that's the only way I can see her being in this universe, and not just like one hitting everything.
One punch.
Is that out already? The season 2?
First episode is, yeah.
So they're releasing it episode by episode?
Mm-hmm.
Is it on Hulu, or is it?
It's on Hulu, yeah.
Okay, I gotta watch that, but I'll probably wait until the whole thing's out, because I'm not very patient.
Yeah, same. So do you guys think it was weird that a Super Saiyan helped relocate green aliens to a new planet, just like in Dragon Ball Z? Or
yeah, that's good. I like it.
I didn't make the connection, but
I didn't either, and I'm a better person now because of it.
If you look at pictures of the Skrulls next to the picture of whoever it was that played Piccolo in that crappy live action Dragon Ball movie, they look very similar, and it's kind of funny.
Okay, so the real question is, The Last Airbender or Dragon Ball Evolution? What is the worst movie?
Never saw either of them, so both.
You are a lucky person.
I don't know.
I think the only reason why I saw Dragon Ball Evolution is because a freshman year, Austin had it, and I was like, "Ooh, let's watch it, Austin." And you were like, "Please, no."
No. No. I don't own that movie. I think.
Where did we get it from then?
You were watching the anime, and
right.
Somebody, I don't remember if it was me or like John or somebody, was like, "Hey, there's a live action movie. You guys know that, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was awful." And you were like, "Let's watch it." And so I think we Googled it, and we found it on some shady website.
Did we just stream it?
Streamed it, yeah.
That movie was so bad. So I'm gonna make a quick list for you. Last Airbender, Dragon Ball Evolution, Ghost Rider 2. I'm trying to think of any other movies. Feel free to add to this list.
Actually, movies. Ghost Rider 2.
Okay, movies that are so bad they make you angry.
Like, so I would think that The Last Airbender to me is better than the Dragon Ball. No, wait, is worse than the Dragon Ball movie, just because there's a couple actors in the Dragon Ball movie that I like, and I don't like anybody in. I mean, they pronounced the kid's name wrong the whole movie.
So I actually
everybody's name.
I
Soka.
really like the actor that played Zuko. I did not like him as Zuko, but I like him as and everything else I've ever seen him in. He was in Slumdog Millionaire. He's in The Newsroom. He's a phenomenal actor. That movie was just absolute trash. Oh my gosh. But like even Ghost Rider 1 is funny to watch. Ghost Rider 2 takes 5 years off of my life every time.
Well, how many times have you watched?
Twice, because the second time I was like, oh no, it's probably not that bad. It was that bad. It was I'm the kid that keeps running into the door.
Yeah.
Anyways, what are we talking about? What's this movie that we're I can't even remember anymore.
Exactly. That's how forgettable this movie is, which is why your guys' rating shouldn't be 7 and 7 and whatever.
My rating, I feel like I'm pretty soft on movies. Like I enjoyed. It was fun to watch. I didn't, when I'm watching a movie, I don't necessarily see all the issues with it on my first watch. And it's more like this movie was more of I enjoyed watching it, but I don't really care to watch it again. So that puts it at like a 7. Whereas like movies that I would watch again, I'd put up like 9 or 10. And then movies that I think are bad when I first watch them are probably terrible because I usually just enjoy watching the movie.
I thoroughly enjoy the movie going experience. So like when that King Arthur movie came out, I was super excited to see it, even though I knew it was going to be a bad movie. But like, it's kind of like Sky was saying, I'm a big fan of the Fast and Furious movies, but there's no way in the world that I would say those are high quality films.
Oh no.
They're popcorn flicks, and I enjoy popcorn flicks. They're fun. I don't have to think too hard. Now they're never going to be like The Prestige is, I think, probably my favorite movie of all time, and that's a thinker. You got to be paying attention. But I didn't think Captain Marvel was so bad that I was like looking at my watch, like, okay, how long is this? Is it over yet? Like, so I don't know. Maybe I'm giving it too high of a score, but it wasn't so bad that I'm like, this is a bad film.
Yeah. I mean, ever since The Last Jedi came out, I found myself being a lot harder on movies because if I'm going to be hard on a series that I love, like Star Wars, and if I'm going to look at The Last Jedi and go, okay, this was bad, 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 I feel like I have to, like I almost have to be fair and apply it to everything. So like I still enjoy going to see a movie, but like then 2 or 3 days after I've seen it, I think about it and I'm like, okay, that was stupid. That was stupid. That was stupid. I don't know. I feel like since The Last Jedi came out, I'm harder on movies. And maybe that's just another thing that The Last Jedi has ruined for me. I don't know.
That's the faulty logic of yours there, because The Last Jedi is not a Star Wars movie. It is, in fact, a Star Trek movie. Because all of the issues in that film are way more like something that would happen in Star Trek. And I love Star Trek, but like, I don't know, like the fuel being a huge plot point, and like a unit that's actually being measured is not something that you even come close to ever using in Star Wars. Like it blows my mind.
I hated how they came up with Solo right after that, and they doubled down on the fuel thing. Like everybody's like, this is stupid, and they were like, the first like opening. It wasn't the title crawl, but it was like I don't know, the blue words that came on the screen. It was like, oh, fuel, and I was like, oh, okay, going into the fuel again.
You buttholes. No, I really wanted to like Solo. I really did. I thought Donald Glover was a great Lando. I don't know. There's just so many things about that movie. It was like, this was an unnecessary film that did nothing but ruin characters I already love.
Yeah.
Is this a Solo podcast? I don't even know.
Well, that ties back into the whole Nick Fury, eyeball thing, and
it all ties back together.
It all works. Everything's connected.
So, back to Captain Marvel. Have you guys been watching the trailers for Endgame?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to have spoilers then for the trailers, but are you guys okay? Like, do you think she's going to be back for the first act? Like, I mean, she's in one of the trailers. Do you think she's going to be back right away? Is it going to be a little while? How do you think they're going to bring her like into the movie kind of thing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd assume that she. So I don't know, because on the one hand you think, well, she's in the trailer, we know she's in this movie, like why delay it? On the other hand, I wonder how long it's going to take for Tony to get back to Earth.
See, that's kind of where I was getting at too. Is like all the trailers have these long scenes of him floating in space. Like, I don't think I'm going to make it back.
Yeah,
it's like I realize that there's probably, there could be. We don't want him to just be back on Earth at the beginning of the movie because that'll feel cheap. But at the same time, it's a 3-hour movie, and I don't know if I care to watch him try to get back to Earth when he's Iron Man. He's going to figure out how to get back,
Right.
But I have no doubt that he'll be able to get back. But I don't know if I want to watch half the movie be them all trying to get together, Yeah. So wondering if she's going to just show up right away and be like, oh, got the pager, I'm here in the first 10 minutes, or if it's going to be, halfway through the film.
Yeah, so two things. First thing, I think she's going to show up right at the very beginning. They're going to say, oh, we don't know where Tony is. And she's going to light speed fly out to Tony, grab him, and light speed fly back. Everybody's going to be together. And then she's going to punch Thanos and win. And then...
One punch!
No, I don't know. That's a good question.
I will say... Oh, no, go ahead. If you're going to answer the question...
the Russo brothers have said that some of the stuff that they put into the trailers actually isn't in the movie.
Oh.
Like they filmed it to fake you out so that you have no idea what's going to happen.
Okay.
So the Iron Man floating through space stuff could be not real.
Okay.
Or the Iron Man...
Or them all walking in their spacesuits?
Yeah, I mean, like, any point of the trailer could be not real. When I think it's Iron Man says or asks Captain America if he trusts him or whatever, and then they go off and fight, or I don't know. But
okay, but you have to admit, regardless of whether or not it happens, the moment where we see Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man like at the foot level walking into combat together, you guys know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that gets me so hyped.
Yeah,
like I am so pumped for this movie. Yeah. Amber was watching the news the other day, and they said something about it being 3 hours long, and she was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I was never going to tell you that. I was never going to take you to this movie and let you know that it was actually 3 hours."
That's why I wonder, are we going to spend a large portion of that movie getting the team back together? I feel like it's not, but I don't know. I don't know if there's really a good way to get them all together that doesn't feel cheap. So I'm curious to see how they do it, and especially with it being like the last movie for Captain America and Iron, right? It's pretty much confirmed to be like probably going to be the end of their last movies. With Captain Marvel being so powerful, like are we going to be able to have a meaningful resolution to those characters after we just brought in this super powerful character?
Yeah, I don't know, because well, on the one hand, no, we said all that before. I don't know why never mind. Hey, Austin, edit that out, because I was going to say more things that I'm pretty sure we've already said, so never mind. Austin, you say things. You say things now.
Yeah, so have you guys seen the trailer for Endgame where Captain Marvel goes or they're talking about how they're going to fight, and Captain Marvel goes, "Well, you didn't have me last time." And then Rhodey's like, "Okay, hold up." Like,
no.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a clip that's out somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. That's another one of those things where I don't know. That's right before Thor like pulls his axe to him and goes, "I like that one." Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I wonder if there's going to be any like, headbutting in the movie because of that. Like, if Captain Marvel will get on some of the older characters' nerves just because she's like overconfident. I almost wonder if they'll go and fight Thanos, and then he'll, like you mentioned, like he'll do something with the Space Stone and kind of neutralize her powers or lessen them or weaken them or whatever, and she'll get her butt kicked, and so she'll kind of have to have this moment where she struggles and has to overcome stuff and realizes that she needs the team and all that kind of stuff, because she didn't really have
like a Ninja Turtles movie.
I don't know, I've never seen that.
You're not missing much. It's right up there with Ghost Rider 2.
No, it is not. It is up there with Ghost Rider 1.
Okay, it's a much higher.
But like back to Captain Marvel, like I don't really feel like
that's got to be the name of this.
Like she had to really overcome like a lot. Like I don't know. To me, it didn't feel like she had to really struggle against anything.
Well, yeah. So it was weird because her struggle for most of the movie was amnesia,
yeah,
right? Which isn't really a struggle that I don't know. It's not really one that you can relate to, and it's not something that is easy to portray. Like, I mean, I have not that I relate to normal superhero struggles, but like her whole struggle is I don't. Yeah, okay. Her whole struggle is I don't remember my past, and it's just and then she remembers, and then that's kind of the end of the movie. It's like she doesn't remember anything, and she's just kind of going through the motions, doing things, trying to keep people from like dying, and then she remembers, and now she's at the end of the movie. So it's kind of like I agree with that she didn't have much in the way of struggles. Like she pretty much got her memory back and then had all her powers and then was unstoppable.
Yeah, superheroes whose story is based on amnesia and not remembering are just garbage characters. Don't you agree, Austin?
Garbage. Who are you going to talk about? Wolverine?
Wait, is he your favorite? I didn't know that.
He might be my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you glad that he's not dead anymore?
He's not dead anymore? I haven't been following that. Like, I haven't messed with it.
Did you ever go to that website that counted the days of how long Wolverine was dead?
No.
So every day, not every day, but like I would often go to that website.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. I'd be like, is he still alive? Is he still dead? What's going on? Hold on. You guys talk. I'm gonna Google it.
Okay. Well, I think part of that, like, that's part of the reason that I like the first Iron Man movie so much, is because his struggle is in his mind as well as like it's physical too. I mean, he's kidnapped by terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to deal with that. He's got to figure out how to keep himself alive while somehow busting out, and then afterwards he's struggling. He's struggling with the fact that his weapons cause so much death, and his company is responsible for so much pain and so much suffering. And that, I mean, it shows up throughout the series. I mean, you see it in Age of Ultron too, with the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. I mean, they even talk about Stark's missiles. So just him dealing with that, and then his whole story arc. I mean, even though Iron Man 2 and 3 weren't good, I mean, he has to. I don't remember what he struggles against in Iron Man 2. Probably nothing. But Iron Man 3,
palladium to the core is a pretty painful way to die. No,
I don't know.
That's I didn't say it with a Russian accent, so you didn't know that's what I was doing.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
that's his struggle.
Element. So,
well, yeah, I guess.
Which I still don't understand how that connects to like anything else that happens. I think that's the problem with Iron Man 2. There is no bearing on the rest of the MCU.
Yeah.
Like it does not affect it at all, with the exception of Coulson's going to New Mexico.
Yeah, but he got to have the cool triangle in the middle of his suit instead of the circle.
And then they ditched it.
Yeah, well,
And now he doesn't even have a suit. He's got
nanobots, yo.
Which, that's fine, I guess. That's fine.
I thought it was
then
cool.
in Iron Man 3, he's got PTSD, and that's cool too. So, it's just his story is just great.
Except it should have been alcoholism.
Well,
like in the comics.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not working because I don't think the site is up anymore, but the website was called iswolverinestilldead.com.
Well, are there any other characters that are dead right now that you can do?
No.
No?
No, they don't kill
another character so they can bring them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's alive. So I don't know how long it lasted.
I don't know why I just thought of this, but have you guys seen Into the Spider-Verse?
No, and I really want to.
It's really good.
I heard John Mulaney plays Peter Porker, and that makes me happy.
Yeah,
Peter Porker.
Rent it from Redbox, and we'll do an episode on that one because it's so good.
It was very good.
Last I saw, it had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Is that still true?
Probably not, but Rotten Tomatoes is garbage. So.
So the thing yes. The thing about it is it's really inconsistent, and it's because it's a conglomerate of reviews, right? So it's not a great barometer because you've got a ton of different because it relies entirely on the critics. And
it's at 97%, but I've got some videos about that on my channel. You know, if anyone's listening to this and has made it to this point by some miracle.
I don't know why they would. That's funny.
Goodness.
Well, anything else you guys want to talk about in Captain Marvel?
No, I think we beat it to death.
Also, I will say the guy who played the Skrull, the lead Skrull,
Krennic.
Yeah, so
Ben Mendelsohn.
So the issue is he is a villain. Like the guy is just born to play bad guys. He's not allowed to play not bad guys. It's not okay.
Yeah.
You can't just be a good guy.
Yeah, he's typed.
I'm trying to think of a good example.
Of another actor that is born to play things.
Yeah.
Mark Strong. He's born to be a villain.
Yeah.
Speaking of Shazam.
Yeah. Okay, I
did in Green Lantern too.
Yeah, he's a good.
One other thing that I want to say about Captain Marvel, though. So one thing that for some reason, this irked me a lot, and it's a very minor detail, was they kept calling her Veers the whole beginning of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we finally find out why. It's because her dog tags get half blown up or whatever.
Yep.
And it's just VERS.
It's Vers.
Sounds Veers. That's Vers.
That's Vers.
Well, so when I was reading up on the movie before I went, and that talked about Veers, and it had VERS, and it had an apostrophe before the V, and so I was thinking verse, like
there's no power in the verse can stop me.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking like River, no power in the verse can stop me, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I don't know. Like if you're gonna take Carol Danvers and shorten it to verse, I'm fine with that.
I think they did that though because you would never think Veers has any connection to her name. I guess I wouldn't have any thought that Verse would either.
I mean, you wouldn't think there's any connection, but that's why they could have just made her name when she was with the Kree be anything. They just made it try to be Carol Danvers, but then it was I don't know. I thought that was weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
They tried to keep it connected, but then made it be not how that. And again, it's aliens, so they can say it however they want, but that annoyed me more than it should have.
For sure. For sure.
Yikes.
Austin.
There's one other thing that I wanted to talk about. The fact that they're looking for that Lightspeed engine. So, do they really want Lightspeed tech, or were they just trying to find their family, or is it both?
Oh,
that's a good question.
Because they've already got. I mean, because like I said in my summary, they find out it's on Earth, and then they're at Earth.
Yeah.
So they've been jumping through the jump points, like they've got in Guardians of the Galaxy. And they show it multiple times in the film. And that's faster than light travel. And what that to me reminds me of is the hyperspace lanes in Star Wars.
Sure.
Like the lanes, the jump ports that are already previously planned out so that you don't crash through a star or a planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess I don't know why they would need a lightspeed engine, and if they had one, how they wouldn't crash into something.
Oh, you mean at the end when they just like fly away?
And they're just like, we're gonna go find a new home. Boo!
That's actually how it goes verbatim.
Well, maybe that was their plan. Is the first planet they crash into is their new home?
What if it just blows up and it spreads out into all the other planets, like in The Last Jedi?
Well,
I thought you were going to talk about like in The Last Jedi when it crashes through the ship. And
That's
splits.
Well, see the thing that
is that what you're talking about?
Well, you're not considering it.
Are you being sarcastic? I really can't tell.
So I misheard you. I thought you were talking about The Force Awakens, when they destroy all the rebel planets.
Or
resistant planets, when those light, it just like pew pew, and it like zigzags from planet to planet. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like the better Death Star, like the bigger Death Star.
Spread out at the end.
No, yeah, it shoots multiple beams. They like split up.
Which doesn't make sense.
But
I'm sorry.
So what
Are you talking
plan is,
as much as the rest of it makes sense.
yeah. The plan is they're going to crash into a planet, and that's their new home, and it won't blow up. But so the Last Jedi, she crashes into all those ships, and they blow up. What you're not considering is planets have a lot more mass, so it won't blow up as easily. So it'll be fine.
Oh, right.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mr. Engineer. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. For those listening, I am an engineer, so I do know what I'm talking about. So, no big deal.
Oh boy.
I'm really good at the physics.
I'm really good at math. I'm not good at math.
No, yeah, I don't know what their plan is. Like, if you're not flying at light speed, it's going to take you forever. And if you are flying at light speed, you'll probably hit stuff.
Just go to Mars. They can meet John Carter.
Oh, that's where the sharks come from. They're the green.
Why haven't we done the John Carter movie?
That nobody watched it.
Shh.
That movie wasn't watched at first, and it's so old that even if it was popular, nobody would watch it. Like nobody'd watch a podcast about it.
Well, that can be like a bonus episode.
I mean, okay. Like, I don't know if we can ever schedule a time.
I was gonna say it was like pulling teeth to get this episode going.
So I guess if there's nothing else that anybody really wants to talk about with Captain Marvel, do we want to go through and see if after this discussion your opinion has changed higher or lower, or if you still agree with your initial assessment?
Yeah, let's do it.
As the lowest, go first.
I'll start. Yeah, I'll give it a 5.5. I don't know. I still don't like it. It's one of the worst Marvel movies in my opinion, and that's just because of the things that it changes in the other one.
Really
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't care for it because of the reasons we talked about, and I don't know. There's like so many things that we talked about where I feel like we agree that like it's not great, like on certain points, but you guys are still like, yeah, that's fine. And I don't know. Like I said, I think The Last Jedi has kind of messed up my scale because,
sure,
it used to be that I'd give pretty much any movie a 4 out of 5, or an 8 out of 10, and now it takes more to impress me.
Well, and so that's unless I'm actively angry, I'm usually going to give a movie a 7, at least a 7. Like you have to make me upset for me to go below that. And I didn't feel like this movie did. So I will probably leave mine at a 7.5. That is what I gave it, right, guys?
Yeah, that is.
Okay. I already forgot. That's how important this movie is to me. Yeah, I think I'd stick at a 7.5.
I think coming out of the movie, I probably would give it a 7. After talking about it and just all the points that you guys have brought up about like her character and the ramifications, I guess, on the rest of the MCU, I would probably go down to like a 6. I still enjoyed watching it. I don't really think I'd watch it again, as we said before, unless I was watching all of them. But I think it was still decent. It did come. I looked up like the list of Phase 3 movies, and it did come after like Spider-Man: Homecoming, which I really liked, Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man 2. Like it came on the heels of a lot of really good movies, and I'm not sure. I think part of my opinion of Marvel movies has gotten very inflated. And I don't know if I expect too much, but
so you guys know Captain America is my favorite, right? So Captain America is my favorite Marvel hero. For those who don't know, I'm watching through all the Marvel movies to lead up to Endgame, and I watched First Avenger last night, and I forgot how boring that movie is. Like I love it. I love Tommy Lee Jones. He's fantastic. Chris Evans is great. What's his name? Oh no.
Hugo Weaving.
No, I know Hugo Weaving. The other one. No, I'm joking. I forgot Hugo Weaving's name. He's a great villain. He's a great villain. But that movie's not good. So Marvel has come a long way since then.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to think about. The first movie that they made for the MCU was a home run, though. Because the first Iron Man movie, is still one of the best Marvel movies of all time. I think.
I agree with that. Iron Man 1 is fantastic.
I don't know.
It was really interesting because the first one was Iron Man. The second one was The Incredible Hulk. They got a new actor for now. It was made by Paramount. Like,
right. Which I think they doesn't Universal own the rights to Hulk, which is why they haven't made a Hulk movie. Like I don't know. Someone should look it up and prove me wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's why they've never done anything Hulk, because either Universal or Paramount owns them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to think about how, like, when you look back at it, to see how it all came together, and it is really amazing that, I don't know. I think we live in a cool time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Captain Marvel is better than a couple of the other heroes' entry movies. It's better than Thor. It's probably better than the Incredible Hulk movie. It's probably better than the first Avenger, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd put it on the same level as all those, I think.
So, okay.
When you say the first Avenger, do you mean Captain America?
Like Captain America, the first
Avengers movie. Yeah. The you know what the problem with that film is? And once again, I know this is not the story we're talking about. I will say that the problem with the first Avenger is the best parts of the movie are before he even becomes Captain America. Then he becomes Captain America, and like the cool action sequences they montaged, and you're just like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?
Yeah, but he chases a car and swims with a submarine.
That part is sweet. But I'm talking about the part where, like, they go on all those cool missions and we don't see any of them. It's just like, oh, hey, he shoots a guy in a tree. Oh, hey, he throws his shield at something. And they're, like, playing patriotic music. And you're like, this feels like a propaganda film. It doesn't even feel like, I don't know. Jerry, I don't know sometimes.
Yeah, but they kicked it up a notch with Winter Soldier and Civil War. So
Winter Soldier is great. Civil War makes me mad.
Well, they could have made that a whole phase 2. That's just like the scroll thing to me. Like,
Civil War should have been like a show. Should have been like, they should have like the Netflix series, except they should have had like 30 episodes.
A mini series, you mean? More like?
Yeah, so I think it should be, because I don't think 10 to 12 episodes is going to be enough. Like, I think, I don't know. They rushed to Civil War. Wait, I can't do this. I could talk for 2 hours about why Civil War is not a good movie.
Well, I thought they should have waited to get X-Men before they did Civil War.
For sure.
Even more like stuff going on.
Or they should have waited until they developed Spider-Man as a character at all. So his plot line could have followed more like the comics, where he actually had an interesting story arc.
Yeah, where he switched sides.
Which was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, thanks. Now I'm mad.
What is this podcast for, if not to make us mad and burn people's ears?
Well.
Yeah, that's right.
We're here to anger people, I think. So.
Well, and we just, pooped on Marvel's first female heroes movie, so like we're going to get hate for that.
Yeah. I don't know.
But it's not a gender thing though, because Wonder Woman is phenomenal. Like Wonder Woman was such a good movie.
I don't really like Wonder Woman either.
Oh my gosh! All right, well you are sexist then. That's just it. you didn't like a female thing. You are a sexist.
Oh no! I'm trying to think of like female-led movies that I like.
Did you like that one, that the Battle Angel one?
Oh yeah, I did like Alita. Yeah.
I haven't seen that one. It looked good.
It's pretty cool. There's something that, another thing that I thought was missing from Captain Marvel.
Back to Captain Marvel.
And kind of missing from Shazam, but you see in Alita and you see it in like Man of Steel and Aquaman, and in Wonder Woman some too. Yeah. Is the things that I've termed in my mind, because I don't know what else to call them, are anime moments. So like moments where it's something shot just like an anime. So in like Alita, somebody kicks a character up against the wall and kicks them across the room into a wall. It cuts to like closer to the character when they hit the wall, and then all of a sudden the guy that kicks them is right there and like cuts them in half. And I was like,
that's an anime moment.
That's like that will be in an anime. Or like in Man of Steel and in Aquaman, when someone would punch somebody away,
and then they were instantly up on them,
and then they do like a chase, and then they punch them the other way. That's yeah. I like those moments. Those moments make me smile. Those automatically like raise a movie in my mind.
So as much hate as he gets, no joke, Zack Snyder could direct the heck out of a Dragon Ball Z movie.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
I think he would be phenomenal at doing a Dragon Ball Z movie.
I mean, he'd make a bad guy and have him kill people, but...
Hey, remember that one time when Superman snapped a dude's neck?
Yeah.
When Batman murders people now?
Yeah, a lot of people. So with Captain Marvel fighting Thanos, maybe we'll see some of those moments where he punches her and then, maybe that'll happen.
And he's right on top of her and he like double hand smacks her into the ground and creates a crater. That'd be great.
It could happen. I mean, she is probably one of the only other characters that like is fast enough that they could have that sort of scene.
And take that kind of beating too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I like those moments, and I didn't see any in Captain Marvel, so it's automatically awful.
0 out of 5.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're going to be disappointed with John Wick then.
Except Boban Marjanovic, the NBA player, is in John Wick 3.
Is he really?
Yeah. You got to Google it. He's in the trailer. He's in the second trailer they released.
Okay.
He's got like grills.
Does he have a katana motorcycle? Because
no, that's why we can't have nice things. Never mind.
Okay, so now that we're way off topic again.
So back to Captain Marvel.
Is there anything else we want to talk about, or are we about ready to wrap up?
I don't have much else. I don't think. I think we ranged far and wide across Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Marvel in general.
And we've talked about DC and anime and Dragon Ball and
Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean,
now we just need to talk about Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, and we've hit all of the like nerd trifecta. No.
Maybe you need to throw a disclaimer in the beginning that we get off topic a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
If you were looking for smart and focused people, go to a different podcast. I will say, my final thoughts on the movie. I think we do have to give them some slack because they introduced a brand new character that they needed to be ready for Infinity War Part 2, but Infinity War Part 2.
Yeah.
And I think that they introduced a lot of things.
There you go.
That they didn't have time to flesh out, and so I think we got to give them time. I have a lot of hope for the sequel. I think the sequel should be impossible now that they've established the character. I just think that they did.
You know what? I'm not even gonna get into that. That's going way into the weeds.
I agree a little bit.
Okay, I'm okay with that too.
So join us next time for our other Captain Marvel. And Austin's a sexist, so it's
okay. We're gonna talk about Shazam next time we do this. Whenever that ends up happening.
Yeah.
And that still fits the theme of us only doing Captain Marvel episodes.
It really does.
We're still technically correct.
Well, they do now. So
good thing you have the ability to edit that out.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. I'm not sexist, okay? I like Alita Battle Angel. So
there you go.
I'm not racist. I have a black friend.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not sexist because I have a wife. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
game on.
I think people be sexist and be married.
Nope. Impossible. Impossible.
People you know what? I'm not even gonna get into that. That's going way into the weeds.
A little bit.
Okay.
So join us next time for our other Captain Marvel episode.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Shazam next time we do this. Whenever that ends up happening.
Yeah.
And that still fits the theme of us only doing Captain Marvel episodes.
It really does.
We're still technically correct.
If the next one we do is
the best kind of correct. Are we going to only do movies as they come out? Or are we not going to do old films too? Or
we do old stuff too. It just depends on, when we can work out timing to do this.
Well, I'm not a very busy person, so
I'm not either. Just the last couple of weeks were kind of crazy.
I'm not busy normally. The last couple of weeks were bad at work, but
I'm a child.
Okay.
Anyways, Austin, take us away.
All right. Well, thank you, anyone who has made it to this point. Let's be honest, you probably fell asleep and this auto played, and then you're not even listening to this. You're still asleep, and it's YouTube's going to shut off after we sign off. But
we forget.
Thank you for listening. We have loved having you listen to us ramble about everything under the sun. Check out our next episode when it comes out. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because it's awesome. Fishers of Men. Noah, do you want to plug your podcast?
Yeah, so I do a podcast with my sister and brother-in-law about Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's called Avatar Weekly. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it on Podbean. It's a walk through the show, so we go episode by episode and just talk about the show. It means a lot to me and my brother-in-law. We're both big fans. So if you're interested in the show, or maybe if you're not, and you want to check it out for the first time, you should check us out.
Okay. Cool.
What's next?
I guess we just all sign off. So like this was Roommates Review, Captain Mar-Vell. I'm Scott. It was nice having everybody listen.
I'm Noah.
It's Noah.
That's Noah. That's all I got.
And Austin is no longer like in it. He vanished.
I just noticed that too.
Okay, well, this has been Roommates Review. I'm Scott, Noah, and Austin disappeared somehow. So, yikes. And break. So this will be the point where you can stop the recording.